Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I am gonna start doing this thing, not super sure what I'm gonna call it, something along the lines of like reread or manga rereads. Basically doing not really reviews but kind of recommendations of series that I've read multiple times and recently have reread. Starting off with My Little Monster, if you could not already tell. This is by Robico. I think, I don't actually know if this is a duo of people or just one person. I think based on like the author's notes, it sounds like just one person with um, who's writing under the pen name Robico. Um, yeah, so My Little Monster is a 13-volume series. It is very character driven. It is a romance, comedy, kind of drama, but not really that heavy on the drama. Um, it is released in North America by Kodansha, and spines just kind of look very much like this. This you can't really tell, but the cover is an off-white, um, and all of the different spines have different colors based on what color writing is on the cover. Um, so they all look great. I'm gonna start off with the art, I guess. I personally love Robica's art. Um, this is very, very pretty people. She draws extremely pretty people. These are gorgeous boys, and I feel like the girls are supposed to look plain, but they still look gorgeous anyway. Um, and I think that the art is very steady throughout. It obviously gets better as it goes along, just because you grow as a person. When you're drawing a 13-volume series, as you go along, you get better. So, yeah, the art I think is absolutely stunning. There are some gorgeous in between chapter pictures like this that are just really nice, and it's very much lines, and I love this cover because of the smoke. Lines, and there's Shizuku, who's the main character. Backgrounds are pretty good for a shoujo because this is so character driven. Sometimes people will, kind of give up on the backgrounds and have lots of just white backgrounds, but that really isn't the case with this series. There are lots of backgrounds. And this is a good spot to move on to something I really love about this manga, is all of the extra stuff. In every single volume, usually between chapters, they do 4-panel comics of little side stories that have to do with the chapter you just read. So if there's a scene in here, it'll go and do like a little bit of an extra about that scene in a 4-panel comic. And there's usually 2, sometimes there's 3, sometimes there's 4 between chapters. So yeah, see, there's another in between chapter picture that just looks great. And so the 4-panel comics, consistent throughout the entire series. They're in every single volume, and they're funny. Usually I really do not like stuff like that, especially in shoujo manga, because a lot of them do it, but I don't find them funny, and I don't want to read them because they're just getting in the way of the story. I just want to keep reading the story, but I feel bad if I skip them because I paid for the volume. I might as well consume all of what's in it. But these, I never felt like I was forcing myself to read them. Also, there are usually extras after the story. This is some weird like action thing that she's put her characters into just for the fun of it. And the translation notes. This series, I don't even think it's focusing. This series has wonderful translation notes. If there's anything in here that is a reference to anything, it's in the back here. Like there's multiple pages in each volume of translation notes, which I really appreciate because while I have read a lot of manga and I do know quite a basis about Japanese culture and stuff, there's still things obviously that I don't know, and especially if this is someone's first series that they're picking up, the translation notes are phenomenal. So for this series, anything that you come across, even stuff that isn't Japan based, if it references something, I can't remember the specific example I'm thinking of, but somewhere it references something that isn't a culture thing. It's just something that she's referenced that isn't even Japanese, but probably people don't know what that is. So I went back into the references, translation notes, and found out what that was, and it was just some English novel reference or something like that. But I really appreciate that because a lot of times when you read series, if the translation notes are not good, sometimes you can just get lost, and it's one of those things where you just skip over and go, whatever, it's fine, I'll just keep reading the series. But it isn't until you find a series like this that really does it well that you super appreciate it because it immerses you in the story that much more because you know exactly what they're talking about. Also, a little surprise that I really liked was that I had not read anything in this giant volume 13. When I bought this, I had read this whole series online before, and I had watched the anime twice. When I bought this, I had no idea that volume 13 was completely extras. I thought that it finished the story and then there were extras at the end. It's not like that. This is completely side stories. And then the end, there are tons of 4-panel comics, extra comics, and then it has like fun little activities that have to do with the characters, and then from a fan book or something like that, or the character guidebook, it has all of the character, what do you call these? Like character bios and stuff. And it goes all the way into like the side characters, which is cool. And then there's just more extra stuff at the back. So this is really good. That's how much thicker it is. This is volume 1 and that's volume 13. And this is completely extras, which I thought was amazing. I didn't know that when I bought it. So let's go over the characters quick, I guess, and I'll go back to the bios to make this easier. So Shizuku is the main character. I've heard people describe her as very bland. I think she's adorable. She likes to study. She doesn't really do anything else. Her mom works very hard and barely ever comes home. Her dad, she finds to be useless. He doesn't have a job or he's always losing jobs. So she is very much like, I want to be independent. I want to do my thing, which means that I have to study all the time to do that. Sorry. Then Haru is a troubled kid. He never comes to school, and they meet because she is asked by her teacher to bring him his homework and ask him to come to school. He hasn't been to school since he got in a fight, like over a year ago or something like that. He's always getting in fights. He's very misunderstood. He just wants to make friends. He doesn't have any friends. And so he's very nice. He just overreacts in situations because he was never taught how to act socially. He's extremely smart and becomes kind of a educational rival to Shizuku, which is kind of what intrigues her about him in the first place, I think, is kind of how smart he is and how socially inept he is. Um, so that's the main couple, obviously. Natsume is a friend they meet. She is very, very pretty. She doesn't like boys because they always ask her out and then cause trouble with friends, female friends that she makes because they all like boys that end up liking her. So she doesn't have any friends in high school. Um, she really hits it off with Haru because they're very similar people, and then obviously becomes friends with Shizuku as well. Sasayan is this guy, and he is very popular. He has tons of friends, and he wants to be friends with Haru. So he starts talking to Haru, and then subsequently starts hanging out with Shizuku and Natsume as well. They kind of resent him a little bit because he is popular and they are not. Um, and they feel like he will never understand them, but he's human, and he's had times where he doesn't, um, feel great about himself. So the dynamic between the four friends there is really cool, and really sweet. And Yamaken is my favorite character. He is from a rich kid's school, and he is kind of love triangle-ish. He's the other guy, I guess, for Shizuku. And yeah, so he's a rich kid. He ends up going to the same cram school as Shizuku, so they interact a lot. He's kind of friends with Haru, because they used to go to school together, but it's like a rivalry friendship. And then he has, maybe they're on the next page. Nope. Okay, one more. Chizuru Oshima, I think they mostly just call her Oshima, is a quiet girl, also not really any friends. Not by choice. She missed the train on that one, and didn't really make any friends when she entered high school. So Haru kind of adds her to the group, and she comes along with her friend. And then these three, we're not going to focus, of course, are friends with Yamaken. So they're all from the rich kid school as well, and they just kind of tag along all the time. So there are tons of other characters. Those ones are the ones that you see pretty much all the time, and they are really wonderful. The dynamic between all of them is great. This is a story about friendship. It is a romance, obviously, and this romance progresses quite quickly. So if you're waiting around, it's not like one where you have to wait till like volume 11 for a kiss or whatever. Like, it does progress. But mostly, I think that this story is about friendship and forgiving people for past mistakes and moving forward with your own life. Because Haru has family issues, Shizuku's got some family issues, and all of them have, the phone is ringing, but I'm not answering it. Yeah, all of them have family issues or personal issues that they need to work through, and they all come together as friends to do that, and it's really, really wonderful. So if you like stories like that about big groups of people, then this is definitely one that you want to check out. Yeah, so the characters are wonderful. The story is basically, it's pretty run-of-the-mill. They're high school students, you know, out of control guy, very, very structured girl, um, and love triangles and other friends in the mix. Like, it's not anything super special, but it does follow them from their first year of high school all the way until graduation, and then the stories in the extra volume go beyond that. So you really do get to see a good chunk of these people's lives and an important part of their lives, which I think is great. And it doesn't really leave anything out. It really goes for it, and the time progresses very nicely, and you see how these characters grow over those 3 years. Um, yeah, it is one of my favorites out of kind of shoujo comedies. Like I said, I've watched the anime twice, and now I've read the manga twice. And with Kodansha, these are not super expensive to buy, thankfully. They are pretty nice releases, like physically. And then I have shown the covers and the backs in whatever manga haul I picked these up in. I think it was April. So if you want to see all fronts and backs of covers, then go check out the April manga haul. Also, if you can see, there is a chicken. I forgot to mention Nagoya, the chicken. And he's on the back there too. Haru has a pet chicken. And I think that is hysterically funny. Yeah, this series is very funny. You will find yourself laughing out loud all the way through. It's very cute. The art is gorgeous. I don't even, like, it honestly isn't, I didn't do it any justice when I showed you some of it. Like, there is some really, really gorgeous character designs and things in here, and I absolutely recommend checking it out. I think you could probably get the gist of it by just reading the first volume or two. So if you don't like that, you probably will not like the rest of the series. But if you do, then absolutely get the rest of it because it is so worth it. And it's complete, and it closes off nicely, and you will fall in love with these characters because they're just wonderful, and you just want to see what they're going to get into next. So I think that is it. I'll do another little flip through of some pages, see if we can get some nice art. Oh, and also, at the beginning of every volume, there's just this like blacked out kind of random picture in each volume, and I really appreciate that because it's quite funny. And I forgot to mention, in every volume, instead of having like all the characters listed and like who's who, it does, come on, focus, these fun scenes that pertain to the volume. So here they're at like some shopping center because they're in this volume, they all end up hanging out at a shopping center. And let's grab this one. Oh, shoot. There's another one. They're in costume. This one, they're at the cultural festival because this one takes place at the cultural festival. So, yeah, I really appreciate that because you get the gist of it. Their names are all pointing to who's who, and yeah, you get exactly what you get in every other kind of manga where it says who the characters are without just having a small picture of their face and a description. You're getting a really nice picture in each volume that pertains to what's going to happen in each volume, and you get to know exactly who's who, which I think is fantastic. So attention to detail. I really, really think that this mangaka knows what she's doing and really, really cares about this series because you can tell in every nook and cranny of these books, it's exploding with extra little details that I really appreciate. As someone who reads lots of manga, I really appreciate that kind of stuff. So anyway, this is kind of long, but I think that hopefully, if you haven't checked out this series yet, that this has made you curious at least. So My Little Monster by Robiko, I definitely recommend checking it out. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions about this series, do let me know. And thanks for watching.